I'm pleased to be joined by my next guest, Nick Faldo. As you know him as a three-time Masters champion, three-time Open champion as well, and he's entering his 16th season as the CBS lead analyst there with Jim Nantz. And Nick, how you doing today? How's it going?
I'm very good. Yeah, I'm having a Zoom day today.
like many of us during this time.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you, you look at the events on CBS this year as we look towards the season, 20 events, 4 different countries. What are you looking forward to most when you look at the schedule?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking forward to getting started next week. You know, we're on countdown. We fly Monday. We're survey the land and a few players on Tuesday, and then off we go next Wednesday. So obviously we got that uniqueness of going Wednesday, Saturday. So which is a great idea to accommodate NFL, and Jim will be at the game, so I'll be in my tower with my partners Frank and Ian, which will be fine because we've already did the COVID season, how to do that with not having been apart, so that will all work well. No, I'm really looking to get going. West Coast is always great. We stay nice hotels either on the golf course or very close to the golf course. Great scenery, and I'm looking forward to just getting started.
Well, there's a new event that I'm looking at specifically, the Genesis Scottish Open there.
Yeah.
Not too far from where you won your first Open championship, of course, in the East Lothian area. This is at Renaissance Golf Club, probably 2 miles from Muirfield. So much great history for you.
Over the wall. Yeah, the other side of the wall to Muirfield. So, when that was coming on, they sellers text me, and I said, well, I'm there. I'm already going to be there. I'm going over early. And, hopefully I'm going to go to Ireland, couple of days, play in Yadare Manor Pro-Am, and then work my way across. So I will do, and then we will do the Scottish at the weekend. That'll be nice. That'll be great. And I'm going to stay on, and I'm going to call the Open as well. So, that's going to be my little Irish-Scottish trip in the summer.
What can you tell golf fans about that course, Renaissance Golf Club? Have you been there much, or I know you at least know the area?
Yeah, no, I haven't played it, seen it. Obviously it's in the trees there, which is quite unique. So it's not really true. It's not really Scottish, So
Right.
Which is a shame. They normally have it on a links. I've only stayed there. I actually stayed there in a house with Henrik Stenson when he finished second at the Open a couple of years back. I hosted Henrik, so I don't know a lot about the golf course, but more that it will play more. It obviously is an inland golf course, so it will play softish, which is a shame.
Yeah, not so much the bounce and rolls. That you're accustomed to with links golf. When you look at the schedule, overall PGA Tour season, the rest of the season, I should say, the wraparound, who do you expect to have the biggest year at this point? I know there's a lot of guys playing well. Hovland's playing well. Rahm.
Yeah.
Cantlay.
I thought we were in for an exciting season because, you've got Colin, John, and Hideki. There's the young major champions, to start with that from last year. And what were they doing? And Hideki's already come off hit that incredible 3-wood at 18 to in the playoff. He hit an unbelievable, I assume 5-wood at San Diego a couple of years back from that right-hand bunker onto that front left flag, which was one of the greatest shots I've ever seen. So he's just hit another one. John Rahm, as we said, had 2 months off playing with his brand new baby, and shot 33 under, whatever it was, for second. Collins, warming up slowly. So, it'll be interesting what they do. And then, I was a couple of guys I was pushing all year with my FanDuel picks with, with Sam Burns and Taylor Gooch. I was picking them literally, and they've really shone now. So I think they guys are bubbling under. And then the other story, of course, you've still got Rory, Jordan, and Phil looking for a Grand Slam. So that's another cool story, isn't it? And then Tiger, who knows what Tiger will, hopefully, if he can get that that right ankle really working well. That's his biggest thing, I guess. Whether Tiger may venture out on a nice flat golf course, I don't know yet. We shall see.
Yeah, as you said, there's a lot to be to look ahead to, maybe a flat course. But when would you predict or guess maybe we might see Tiger? I know you saw him at the father-son event in December.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm not going to guess anything, but he's going step by step. I mean, number one, I was very impressed how active he was at the father and son, wandering around on the range backwards and forwards. But you've got to be able to stand on your 2 feet, as in a tournament. I mean, minimum of 6 hours a day, more likely more, absolute minimum. So that I would have thought after what he's been through, that might be one goal. I don't know. I mean, we always guess with Tiger. I mean, the next goal is, can he walk a golf course? Can he walk 18 holes comfortably? And then can he walk 5 days? That's the next. You've got to do a minimum of 5 days at a tournament. So put all of that together, and then all I know actually from Tiger's words were, the ankle is not quite, being able to do this, flexibility, mobile, or range of motion. So, walking flat, and whether he gets that, because a lot of people straight away, well, we started Augusta. And I said, well, that's actually the hardest walk on tour. No, it really is. It's the hardest walk because there's so much downhill off the tee, so much down and so you actually will get shin splints that week, even if you're fit and healthy. So now it's it's physical. You technically look really good. I mean, his waist is about 28 and his shoulders are 48. I mean, he's lifted. He's basically going to use the top half to overpower, to drag this leg around. So he did look very impressive.
Yeah, he's got the perfect V going there.
He's got the wedge. Yeah, the wedge. Which you don't have when you're 65.
Right.
I've got one ab. We call it the one ab.
The one ab.
So I'm trying to get the 6-pack back, but at the moment I've got the 1-pack.
I love it.
Got to work on it.
Well, I love that you mentioned Augusta. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I do want to see, like, in 2022, what would you feel would be your boldest prediction? Like, where you could look at, you bank on this, everyone. I would bank on this.
Wow, you're straight in asking me all sorts of. I thought the rise of Sam Burns. I picked that last year at
Riviera.
Yeah, Riviera. Nice. He was 101 shot. I said, hey, watch this guy. Might win this week. He finished second. And then went on, boom, boom, boom. Physically very good. So, I might go with that's a pretty good outside shot to say he will have a real standout year. So that, what that means, don't know. But we've got obviously 4 very interesting majors to compete against so I keep tipping that guy, so I'll stick with that right now.
Yeah Well, the final group experience that he got there at Riviera in some of those big situations against a strong field, that can always go a long way, I feel like, because Riviera is always one of the best fields of the year. So you were ahead of Nostradamus on a pick of that.
Nature. Ramadamus, I got Romadamus. Yeah.
Well, looking at the first major, who do you like in general? Augusta so well. You've played it so many times. You even brought your son Matthew there. You've played it in many years. Who do you like among today's players really fits that game, knowing that course with their game?
The most obvious is Colin Morikawa. He's the most obvious one on paper because it is all about your irons. It's all about distance control. I mean, real distance control. I mean, you are literally given plus or minus a yard to land your ball at Augusta. Over a ridge, next to an edge, over a false edge, false side. So and you got to just be very patient, smart, calculating, put the reins on yourself. Just because there's a wedge in your hand, you've still got to think, if this doesn't stop where I think it's going to stop, I need to give myself just a couple, left or right of the flag will give you a couple more yards of room. Little things like that. I love the way he putted crumbs for, you look at stats. So stats meant nothing on the back nine of the Open when he holed 3 really crucial putts. So and then later in the year, and then what he did in Race to Dubai. Yeah, my goodness, I mean that back nine as well. I mean, so yeah, I think he's already proven a player who, when he really wants it, needs it, can make it happen.
When you watch on Sunday, you're calling the action at Augusta. What do you feel is the most common mistake that we see from players on the Sunday, the pressure of a Sunday, or maybe it's the back nine, but what seems to get to them?
Well, I wouldn't call it a mistake. It's such a demanding golf course. You've got to hit a couple of shots in the right place at the right angles, all that sort of thing. If you keep putting that together, these guys can do that. They know what to do. I mean, simply, I suppose the only mistake is, again, I wouldn't call it a mistake.
Okay,
I wouldn't call it a mistake because it's so demanding. You really are demanding picking the right club in a swirling breeze to land in the right spot. People know how to play. They know when to be aggressive and not. The fascinating one was adrenaline with Hideki last year. That's that was wow, because he hit that tee shot at battery. I got 10. God blimey. Hope I survived 10 more. Darn it, battery power. He hit that tee shot at 13. It was still going up when he hit the trees over the fairway. 14, he smashes it up the hill, doesn't he? So then he stood on the hill and then whoops it over. Again, thrashes a 4-iron and hits it miles, 20 extra yards pulled through the air. So, that's something to really be conscious of, Augusta, adrenaline. Wow, boy, because you are in a cauldron playing for possibly your first green jacket. And that one really can get, because you're such a fine line, if adrenaline does not help you if you land it 10 yards further apart from a tee shot. Anywhere else, you've got to be able to dial it back down again. So so that's would be the thing I would think is the hardest thing to rein yourself in. When you're really getting excited about it, you've got to then push it back down and try and stay as even as you can.
Well, speaking of staying even, remember the story before the 96 Masters that you would end up winning. You get to the course late. Was it 57 minutes before your tee time? Normally you're an hour and 20, and you're caddy Fanny.
I was believe it. I was watching NASCAR in the morning, and I said, "Oh, I guess I better go to the." Still not. And then when I arrived, Fanny's her eyes at this picture. Oh, we got 57 minutes. I said, "Yeah, I'm fine," which was probably good for me because I just got on with it and have a lot of time to think. Hit a few balls, few chips, few putts. Right, let's go. So in a way, that might have worked out.
Yeah. Obviously, did you get the win there? So that's the Masters. We covered a little bit of that. I want to, as we look ahead, my favorite, the very first time at the Open Championship for me was 2015. It was your last one. You had your son Matthew on the bag that week. I'd imagine what a cool experience that was. But what stood out from 2015, your final time there?
Well, yeah, I wanted to go and play and have a great week. We were all geared up and everything. And it all went ridiculously wrong. I had a physio there with me, brought him up from London. And basically, I had my physio and my shirt was on the table. and I went like this to put no, it must have been taken off. I can't remember, on or off. Went like that, and there's deer antlers on the wall behind me.
No.
And I stuck the blimmin' antlers right in one of these two fingers. I'm trying to look for the scar. It's that one, this fella. So I stuck the deer right in, and I could see it, and I knew instantly that is not good. Yeah, it was that fella. And then I thought, well, I can't grip it. And so went down, and I thought, well, the medical said, well, that's all right, you're only doing commentary. I said, no, I'm not, I'm playing this week. Well, we can stick it up a bit of this, a bit of that. And anyway, it was a disaster. Cut a long story, it was a disaster. I couldn't grip the darn thing, had it all taped up, couldn't play. So I shot a horrendous first day, and then I went, and then the second day we had all that rain delay.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Amazing. Oh, and I was sitting at home going with my kids, and I go, look, I don't really want to go. I mean, we'll look at this thing, and they said, come on. Georgia said, well, come all this way to watch you play, and so I, all right. And so I went down to the hospital again, and then they put up the tee times, and I'm at the hospital. I've got sweats on. I got to get back to the house and get back. So everything was a mad drama. We whacked a few balls, nothing worked. We, for medicinal purposes, it had a very large whiskey, very large
Right.
Scotch, had a very large Scotch before we ran to the first tee, and it worked. I shot 71. Got to the bridge. I birdied. I'm below the ridge on. I hit a 5-wood into 17. I'm on the front section of it, and honestly, I didn't have a clue. And I asked the golfing guys, I said, I need some help on this one. I really did. And I went slap, and it went in. I've made 3 at 17. My sweater was my famous yellow Pringle was in the bag. I put that on. Took my picture on the bridge. So that was my magical moment. Said goodbye. It was my 100th major, so that kind of made sense. Didn't realize that until that week, till I got there. And that was it, and so I really thought I was actually good enough to make the cut that week. I thought I could find a way around St Andrews. So I was disappointed at that, but I guess the big goal was to get on the blooming bridge and wave and say thank you. So it all came out in the wash. Crazy story. Crazy. Why did things happen for a reason? Why do you completely stuff your hand up for a reason? I do not know. Anyway, still gratitude. I guess gratitude. I went through the whole of my career, and I only pulled out twice in my whole of my career because of injury. So that's whatever, 30 odd years of golf. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. And St Andrews, really classic links golf course. And I think about you, I've heard you in the past talking about, it doesn't matter the number on the club. Like get that out of your head. If you're a golfer, forget about that. Play links golf. And I'm curious to you, why do you think it is that you had so much success at links golf here in the Open Championships?
Well, I guess I like doing all that calculations, and as exactly you said, just because it's 170 yards, people will say, oh, I've got to grab this, but it's either downwind and landing on a downslope, and that could be, then you've got to bring 170 yards. My landing spot could be 150 now, easily, even 145 downwind, and you think, well, that's a wedge. Now suddenly I'm hitting the wedge, and then if you then hit your wedge, and it misses the landing spot, well, then it ends up doesn't happen. So you've got to hit the right shot, and other like Muirfield, you then have to bring that landing spot short of the green, and they're doing this, and you better know what that is going to affect. It's going to affect you, where you're going to land it. Will it release? So I loved all that, and then of course it can turn the other way, the breeze, and your 170 yards is a darn good 5-iron. Landing it. Trying to land it 165 to get it to stop or something. I just loved all that, shaping the shots, and if the better you struck it, hit the right shape, landed it where you intended, with the knowledge it should do this, gosh, you put all that together and you hit good shots. There's less guys who can do that. That's the real bottom line. I'm sure that's how Jack felt at majors, that there's only 5 guys really this week who can play good enough to win. And I think that's definitely how I felt. If I play really good in tough conditions, then there's only a handful who can really handle it.
And speaking of handling it, your first win in 87 at Muirfield, there you were in the mix. I think you're 1 back going into that final Sunday. So how were you able to deal with that pressure and handle it, as you say?
Well, that was completely when you're really are in your own focus. And we had a ridiculous day. It was pea soup, foggy day, freezing cold. You got 4 layers of cashmere on, and your golf ball's flying nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And so you had to calculate all that as well and put that in. And that was very much sensing I had a chance to win. And, staying in my moment. Tony Jacklin called it cocoon. Now we call it in the zone. That really was my world. It was like, this is my little world. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm still in there. It was kind of like that. And I remember saying, and that was the pressure. One great shot will win me this, and that means one bad shot will cost you it. And so it's like, just keep it going. Just keep it going. We keep doing good shot after good shot. And that's all I tried to do.
Well, you mentioned Tony Jacklin. You became the first English player since Jacklin winning that Open Championship before that to go on to win it. What did it mean to you to really close the door and get that first major there at Muirfield?
Well, that was a combination of all that rebuild. It didn't happen for me in 5 minutes. My career. I came out on tour in 76. Then I got to European #1 in 83, and then I go through the rebuild through 85, 86, and then come out in spring of 87, different golfer. So that's 11 years on from being a pro, and then I finally get my major. And that was my dream as a kid, to win the Open, to get me started. That's what you said, like the famous standard. And I did. I had a 5-footer this for the Open. So all those lunch times at Welling Garden City, hitting putts, going, this to win you. And suddenly I've got one. I've got a real one. So luckily went in.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned 76 starting off, and then you get to the Open Championship, getting to St. Andrews finally for the first time in the Open in 78. And there you were in the mix. I know you didn't have your best Saturday. You didn't have your best Saturday, but still you were in the mix. And talk about how special was that at the first time at the home of golf for the Open? What does that feel like? And then to compete well too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I loved it from the word go. I did, because some people go, what the heck is this place? But I kind of got it and enjoyed it straight away. I finished 4 shots back from Jack. So that was when I genuinely said to myself, I can win the Open one day. So that was my the giving yourself the belief. You're giving yourself the belief, this is doable. This is a goal. This is a genuine goal. I know I could handle that. So obviously that took 9 more years later till it happened.
After that, well, it's interesting, the 150th coming this year, and I think about the highlights that you were a part of the Open Championship history. Of course, your wins, but I'm curious, with St. Andrews or even with your other friends like Sebi, was there any story come to mind behind the scene when he won at St. Andrews? Because you were in the mix that year as well in 84.
I messed up on Saturday. I had a lousy Saturday, so I was in there all the time, and then had a poor Saturday and then a good Sunday. So I was there on that one. But that's what St. Andrews can do. You can leave yourself underneath. There's so many humps. You can be behind a hump into the wind, and you've got to hit it low, but you've got a hump in front of you. I'll never forget that one time. And it becomes really, it's impossible. It's like, I don't have a shot. I want to hit a 4-iron here. I've got a 4. I need a 4-iron. but I got a hump in front of me. So what the heck do I do? As soon as you hit it high, it's up in the Scottish way, and the ball's gone. And you've just got to keep it close-ish to, everything gets accentuated at St Andrews. Like if you miss a shot on a normal golf course, it finishes 30 feet from the hole. There it finds a way to finish 30 yards from the hole. Yeah. It really does. It really does. So you have to accept, you have to be really good at putting from 20 and 30 yards away, which is basically 100 footers. You'll get a couple and you can't get wound up about it. You've got to find a way, get it inside 6 feet and knock that one in. And, and those greens are hundreds of years old, that grass. It's amazing. So they've got, you can sometimes read, and they still have old ruts in them, that fifth green, there's some spots there. You have to look and go, the green's doing that, and I can literally see a little groove, and you go, I gotta just send it down the groove. So you need a good eye to find the true line on those greens.
Well, outside of your wins though, in the Open Championship history, what sticks out to you? Was it seeing Seve win? Was it seeing Jack Nicklaus? What are a couple moments that you're like, wow, I love all that?
Of them. Well, all of them early days. Watson's wins, crumbs. He wins. I was there. I was in the grandstand 75 when Watson holed that putt to tie in the 72nd hole at Carnoustie. I'm sitting right there, coming right at me. So things like that. I sat and watched him on the range back in the day when he could literally sit on the ground behind him. And he's raking over and hit a bag of 1-irons. So that was, I never forget that.
I've got two more quick ones before I let you go. I know your good friend Seve Ballesteros sadly passed away in 2011, so it's been 11 years. Hard to believe. One of my favorite stories you've ever told, Nick, is when he was in the locker room and he's like, guys, all right, he has the pep talk. He says, don't hit it in the trees, don't hit it in the bunkers. You've got to tell us that story. How animated your good friend got.
Yeah, so that was the Ryder Cup. We all arrived at Valderrama. And we have our very first team meeting. And Seve is, okay, he says, I just want you to relax. Have a good time. Play well. It's just the Ryder Cup. It's not so important. I just want you to, it's beautiful weather.
No big deal.
It's home country. Just enjoy, have a good time. So then we went through heck through, we had the third wettest, it only rains in Spain mainly on the plate. Oh my God, we had the second and third wettest ever. We were on the bleming whatever, Friday and Saturday.
Naturally.
Chucking it down. And so we were doing a 16-hour day trying to get 5 hours of golf in. Unbelievable. Anyway, so we're doing great. There we are. We're right in it. And then suddenly, it was so fun. Saturday night, he goes, "We have the win." he says, "I don't want you to hit. I don't want you to 3-putt. Don't hit it in the bunkers, and don't hit it in the trees on the right at number 16." It was like all the don'ts.
It's simple.
Don't do this. So that was it. But it was we have to win. So it was completely, and we did. So anyway, it was a good pep talk. It worked.
You could completely flip the psychology. You went from boys have fun.
Well, it's dreadful psychology. Now you don't 3-putt. Well, don't hit it in the bunkers. You see it go, and then don't hit it in the tree because we all
visual people.
Yes, like everybody. It's no service. Knock it on the green, knock it in the hole, and hit every fairway. Okay, that's what you want us to do. All right.
Yeah, and of course, Seve, really the heart of Team Europe, even today. The inspiration that he provides. Team Europe now, going forward, what do you feel like Team Europe needs to do to really keep things going?
Well, America's wanted to turn things around. Europe had a great run. And, they really did outplay, everybody looks at, what do they call when they came with the new team after. So here's the bottom line for me. I'm still old school. At Glen Eagles, America were 88 under par, and Europe, I think, were 104. I did the maths. That's why Europe won. But I think Europe have got to come up with, they've got to find half a dozen names that people won't know, really. Because, you know, we lost Molinari and Fleetwood. They went very quiet after Paris. So there was a lot of damage to the, we went from having that strength of partnerships to then struggling with the partnerships, you know, really everything. And, you know, and again, you know, our best player, Rory, had a rough week. So nothing clicked for anybody. So that, you know, it was an uphill battle for so many of them, really right out the gates. That's the tough thing. So yeah, I think Europe needs to, it will going to be a refreshing new team, bottom line, I think.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to watch next year with the Ryder Cup. But hey, Sir Nick, I appreciate your time joining me here on Beyond the Clubhouse. Thanks for taking some time and chatting a little Open Championship.
All right, enjoyed it. Thank you so much.